Many blockbuster films like slipping a little cameo into their films nowadays, whether it be the director hiding in plain sight, or a character from another film in the series, or even from another property. Cameos are always fun to try and spot. Here are 10 cameos you'd love to see in Star Wars 8: The Last Jedi. Was the Force with you this video? Then strike the like and subscribe buttons to become more powerful than you could ever imagine.
If you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you could possibly imagine.
Anakin Skywalker. It's not exactly a secret that Hayden Christensen's take on the young, angsty Jedi in the prequel films wasn't the most universally loved role. With wooden acting and creepy stares, Anakin just wasn't meant to be for many.
I don't like sand. It's coarse, and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
But time has passed, and our wounds have more or less healed. We're still not fans of sand either, though. We think it would be both awesome to see and vital to the plot to have Anakin show up for a scene, whether it be with Luke on Ahch-To or confronting his grandson about the errors of his way. He doesn't have to say much, but his presence alone would speak volumes and would certainly fit the story that they've set up with The Force Awakens. With Hayden Christensen due to appear at Star Wars Celebration in 2017, all signs are starting to point to him appearing in the film in some way, shape, or form.
Hold on. This whole operation was your idea.
Yoda.
Wise you are to wish for a Yoda cameo.
Having already recorded audible lines of dialogue for The Force Awakens for the flashback scene, having Yoda come back for a bit would make sense and be most welcome.
Yes, yes.
His cameo would be akin to the one he did in Season 2 of Rebels, where he briefly showed up to offer advice before fading away, which was pretty awesome, but we have to admit there was something off about his design in that animated version. Frank Oz himself has stated that he's been asked not to comment about anything Star Wars for the time being, so while this isn't a confirmation, he may very well have something to do with the upcoming film. Having Yoda around would be cool, but he can't steal Luke's thunder when it comes to teaching Rey. Yoda's passed that torch on, and having too much of him would feel, forced. Time now will tell if it's a puppet Yoda or CGI.
Jedi Master Yoda. You seek Yoda.
You know him?
Thrawn. It seems Thrawn has been everywhere over the past year.
Now we will crush them.
Having been brought back into the Star Wars canon, he was the main antagonist in Season 3 of Rebels, as well as the protagonist for the novel Thrawn, written by the original author Timothy Zahn. In the novel Empire's End, it's mentioned that Thrawn was paramount in delivering information to the Empire about the unknown regions of space, the part of the galaxy where the First Order originates from, and quite possibly Supreme Leader Snoke. Since Thrawn helped scout that location, having him appear briefly as a recorded message or Imperial archival footage would be a great treat to see, as well as draw a direct link between the books and the films. Plus, Thrawn is a fan favorite, and seeing him on the big screen, even if only in a cameo, would get a lot of cheers. Now, the question remains if they'd find a new actor to portray him, or if Lars Mikkelsen, brother of Mads, would resume his duties in voicing the titular blue alien.
Very good. Let's test their mettle. Commence the attack.
Anna Kendrick. Don't forget, cameos apply to actors as well as characters. Anna Kendrick is a die-hard Star Wars fan. She loves showing off her excitement on social media and even cameoed in a trailer for Star Wars Battlefront. While there may be room for a leading role in the future for the talented actress, we think Anna would love a cameo role in a future film, perhaps in a suit like Simon Pegg's character in Force Awakens, or with enough makeup that audiences wouldn't immediately recognize her. This would be done for two reasons: to ensure that Kendrick can come back and to not distract audiences too much with a familiar face for a few moments. We're certain she would get giddy with happiness either way though, which would in turn make us super giddy. Kevin Smith. Perhaps the super geek to rival all super geeks, Kevin Smith is one of the few actors who definitely deserves a cameo somewhere. He did some voice work for background characters in The Force Awakens, and claims that he wept with joy when he saw the Millennium Falcon on the soundstage, which we totally would have done too. Kevin Smith's passion and knowledge of the franchise definitely has earned him a cameo somewhere, perhaps as an alien at Tosh Station or an avid collector of Jedi memorabilia. We can't see Smith tackling any iconic characters, so he'd have to show up as someone completely new or show up in costume akin to Daniel Craig in The Force Awakens. We think it'd be awesome if Smith gets to play a hooded figure with a possible face prosthetic who serves as an informant for one of our heroes, perhaps even Luke. We know Smith would lose his mind over that. Ezra Bridger. Ezra Bridger is the main character of the hit animated show Star Wars Rebels. The young Jedi has flirted with the temptation of the dark side before.
Sorry, buddy.
having been drawn in by Maul and the Sith holocron that they both helped collect in the Season 2 finale, which saw Vader fight Ashoka Tano and Maul help wipe out the Inquisitors on sight. Ezra's fate is currently unknown in the overall timeline, but we know that he's obviously not around for the events of Rogue One, or else the Rebellion would have been very adamant about bringing their lightsaber-wielding allies to the front. Many have speculated that there has to be something more to Ezra and that he'll somehow tie into the events of Episode 8. Could he perhaps have founded the Knights of Ren? If he did, perhaps a hologram recording or even a flashback scene would detail what happens between the film and the show. Perhaps even more intriguing is that Ezra does fall to the dark side and went into hiding for the next 30 years and will resurface for the events of The Last Jedi. Time will tell.
You saw what we're up against. Look!
I'm not afraid.
Revan. A long-running fan favorite, Revan, sometimes known as Darth, would make the die-hard fans explode with happiness. The main protagonist of the hit game Knights of the Old Republic, Revan was a fallen Jedi who would become one of the most powerful Sith of all time. Unlike his contemporary, Darth Bane, Revan has yet to become canon. With Kylo Ren so obviously conflicted with the light and the dark sides, having Revan show up as some sort of a guide for Kylo would make sense. They even have similar masks after all. Revan was supposed to show up in the animated series Clone Wars, but the idea was ultimately scrapped at the last minute. The team got as far as doing some early animations, but George Lucas decided that having Revan and Bane show up as what would essentially be Force ghosts didn't make any sense since Sith don't believe in life after death. Since we know a cameo was in the works at some point, we figure they'll try it again sooner rather than later. The directors of the Star Wars films. When you're on a roll, you're on a roll, and the last two Star Wars films have definitely been hits for both the studios and the directors behind them.
Wasn't all bad, was it? Huh? Some of it was good.
Pretty good.
When they're not involved in directing the most popular film franchise on the planet, some of the directors get a kick out of making cameo appearances. In case you didn't know it, Rian Johnson and Gareth Edwards, of Last Jedi and Rogue One respectively, both cameoed in Rogue One, and that Lord and Miller almost joined in on that party.
That is a bad idea. I think so, and so does Cassin.
Johnson could be seen as one of the Death Star laser operators, while Edwards was one of the rebel soldiers fleeing Vader's fury. Furthermore, creator George Lucas himself cameoed in Revenge of the Sith with his daughter. We think it would be totally awesome to have a quick moment, perhaps at a gathering of some sort, where all or as many of the Star Wars directors to date would cameo on screen together. Not only would it be iconic, but it would be great fun to try and spot them all before the shot moves away from them.
You're right. I should just wait on the ship.
Palpatine. Yeah, we know, good old Palpatine is dead, but the Force works in mysterious ways, eh?
Wipe them out. All of them.
While dark side users can't become Force ghosts, we think the Emperor was powerful enough that he could at least communicate beyond the grave, even if he's only heard for a few moments, or perhaps has the energy to appear for a few moments before he's gone forever. Seeing Palpatine confront Snoke and Kylo Ren would certainly be quite interesting, seeing as they inherited his beloved Empire. After reading the novel Empire's End, which teased that Palpatine had knowledge of a powerful being in the far reaches of space, it seems safe to assume that the two powerful beings at least had knowledge of each other's existence, and seeing potentially two of the most powerful dark side users interact with each other, no matter how briefly, would certainly be thrilling to see. There's still a large group of people who believe Snoke is Darth Plagueis resurrected, Palpatine's former master of whom he talked about in Revenge of the Sith, so if this is true, their reunion would be all the more powerful.
You ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's gotta happen, right? If not a role, then certainly a cameo. Kenobi just makes sense, and Ewan McGregor would totally be on board to return as the man formerly known as Obi-Wan. The actor has publicly stated that he'd love to return to the Star Wars universe, and while many hope that he'll get his own anthology spin-off movie,
Now, that's better.
a cameo in Episode 8 might be something of a test for Disney and Lucasfilm to see how audiences react. In The Force Awakens, he can be heard in the flashback scene telling Rey, "These are your first steps." That's just teasing us, guys. Give us what we want. While Rey being a Kenobi is still a mystery,
only a Sith deals in absolutes.
Having Luke's former mentor show up briefly to pass on some sage advice sounds a-okay with us.
Besides, someone needs to be the poster boy.
So there you have it, folks. Our top 10 cameos you'd love to see in Star Wars 8, The Last Jedi. What did you think of our list? Which cameo are you hoping to make the final cut? Or do you think cameos are too dependent on fan service and take you out of the moment? Whatever you think, let us know in the comments below, and hit the subscribe button to stay up to date with CBR.